Hello everyone, my name is John Carroll, and I am so happy that you've decided to join me today to kick off my new BookTube channel. I'm a registered nurse from North Mississippi, and I've long had a passion and interest in reading and writing, particularly classical books, but anything I can get my hands on. And I cannot wait to share that with you through this experience. As you probably can tell, I'm no expert at YouTube or making video content of any variety. So I'm starting with some rough equipment, but please bear with me as I get through these first few videos and hopefully learn some tips and tricks to help me out from there. Today, I wanted to make this a little more interesting than just saying hi. I wanted to introduce myself by showing a sampling of the books that I've loved most in my life. Besides the Bible, these books, irrespective of quality, irrespective of anything else, have helped to shape who I am in my life as they hit at just the right time, wherever I was. As I'm sure many do, I really started developing my reading tastes around 12 or 13. I've always read, but around 12 or 13 was when I really found where I stood and went from there. The first books I've got today is The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. These are the HarperCollins deluxe slipcase editions that they're still producing. As Michael K. Vaughan would call them, my fancy pants editions. And these were my first bookish loves, as I could say. They hit right at the time when I was growing up. I think I read The Hobbit around age 10 and The Lord of the Rings around age 14. And no matter what I was going through in my childhood and teenage years, they always gave me a place to go. And for that, I was ever eternally grateful for that. The next two books were some that I picked up, I suppose I was 15 at the time. It was the first time I ever intentionally went trying to find some classical literature. I was in Costco, but I didn't have a Costco membership. And I found these two books, and I, at the time, was upset that I couldn't purchase them, but I later got a membership and bought them. These are Canterbury Classics editions of a sampling of Jules Verne and H.G. Wells. Of these, I started with Verne. I first read Around the World in 80 Days, followed by 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Journey to the Center of the Earth in 5 weeks in a Balloon. So I have read all four of those books. Of course, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was by far the best of those. I really, really, really loved that one. The rest of them varied in quality. I didn't enjoy 5 weeks in a Balloon very much. That has to rank as one of my least favorites. But it was that interest, that effort to get into the classics, that this is where I started. And then H.G. Wells is something I think I'll have to try again with. It didn't stick with me nearly as much as 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea did, but I did enjoy his books. It just wasn't my favorite. The next book I have today is from Charles Dickens. It is Great Expectations. Now, Great Expectations came at a time when I had just left for college. When I was a senior in high school, I was ready to go, ready to get out of the hometown and shake the dust off of my feet and do something new. And I read Great Expectations as I was processing where I came from and how I grew up, and I think it helped me to appreciate, as Pip does, where he came from. I think it's a retelling of the prodigal son in a very Dickensian kind of way. It looks at how someone comes from their past. Miss Haversham is someone who can't get over her past. She looks back with bitterness, whereas Pip is, over the course of the book, able to overcome a lot of that and to appreciate the good elements of his childhood, even though there is a time in the middle of the book where he is also trying to shake the dust of his small town off of his feet. So that came at a perfect time for me to really relate as I reflected back on my childhood experiences and appreciate the wonderful things that I had. The next book came about for me because whenever I was dating my now wife, I was a Tennessean and she grew up in Texas, and we had a long distance relationship for just years and years. And we felt that our story was well reflected in a book by Homer called The Odyssey, as you all know. This is the Easton Press edition of this book, which I just love. I think it's beautiful in the Pope translation. I think in Odysseus's travels and his longing to be reunited with his wife Penelope, we saw ourselves as on an adventure in our struggle to one day be married, and that we now get to experience. So this is a book that I read all the time, and I love it still to this day. In fact, I recently published a narrative poem retelling the latter half of the Odyssey to any who would like a copy of this. It is on Kindle, but Kindle does make me charge about $2.99 for that. It's not a very long poem, so I don't really believe in taking anything for it. So I'll leave my email down below. You're welcome to reach out to me, and I will be happy to send you a free copy if I'm able to see it. Sometimes my email gets backed up, you know how it is. Anyway, so moving on from there. When I was a nurse in, I suppose, immediate postgraduate residency, doing a lot of learning, doing a lot of making mistakes and getting back up, the book I was reading at the time was War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. In this wonderful behemoth of a book, which is reflected in my Barnes & Noble Classics edition, the leather-bound Classics edition, I saw a multitude of characters, but specifically the character Pierre, I think, who is one of the most living, breathing characters in all of literature. The thing about Pierre is that he grows over the course of the novel. He's not the same person at the end as he is in the beginning. His story is one of growth, and War and Peace really takes a snippet of his life out, but he still grows after the events of the novel. I think he starts off and he is nervous, and he is easily influenced by those around him, to where he's a good kid, but he gets himself into trouble when he's around those who don't have his and others' best interests in mind. He gets way too much money from his father at a young age when his father passes away, and he is swept up in the life of luxury that he lives, to where he ends up getting married to a woman that is not right for him, and their relationship is very poor, and he ends up shooting a man in a duel over this woman. And so he has a long way to grow, and he does that throughout the book. And there are a couple of instances where you think he might be about to get it. He joins the Freemasons halfway through, and at that point in the book, I thought that that the message of the book was going to be that the Freemasons are what he joined, and that they helped him understand to help people better, and that he would kind of have grown from there. But he doesn't stop. He continues throughout the book to where he is later has to march with when Moscow gets taken over by the French and Napoleon. He tries to assassinate Napoleon, but ends up having to walk with the French in their escape from Russia in that cold winter. And there's just many instances of him trying and failing and learning. And even at the end, I don't think you have the full picture of what his whole life story is going to be. There's more growing left to do. And so that really resonated with me as someone who was trying and sometimes succeeding and sometimes failing and learning and growing and going from there. The final book I have today is a little bit different, but I think it's important because it should show you some of the variation of the sort of things that you might expect from this channel going forward. And that is Superman. This is the greatest Superman stories ever told. The reason I bring this up is because it represents a key part of my reading life and development, and another interest of mine, which is some of the American comic books that have come out. Really, I love all of them, but in the 1980s, 90s, even back to the 60s and 70s, just love all of that. There was a long period of time where I worked night shift at the hospital, and I still loved reading, but there was just not enough energy to devote to some of these wonderful works of classical literature. And I needed something that I could read and relate to and have a story, but perhaps not tax myself in times where I was really trying to rest. And I had read comic books whenever I was a kid. I loved Spider-Man from the Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, John Romita Senior era of the 60s and 70s. I just loved that. I loved the Fantastic Four, and I loved others. But as an adult, I found myself reading more Superman. I've got other stuff on the shelf to the back, some Batman things, some Sandman, but I keep coming back to Superman as my favorite. I think in many ways he inspires me as a nurse who tries to do his best to help others around him, and coming at that from a place of genuine love and compassion. I think he reflects that greatly in who he is as a character, and who he is as a person. And so that has inspired me through some of my nursing careers to love those around me and to do the best I can for them. Anyway, that is all I've got for y'all today. I thank you so much for watching. I thank you for putting up with me in my first video, and I hope that we will continue to grow together and learn through these coming experiences, talking about great books and great literature. I do plan to have another video here in the future, hopefully near future, talking about some of my reading goals and plans for this coming year. And then perhaps I think I'm going to plan to do a deep dive video into one of my favorite Shakespeare plays, which is Julius Caesar. I think that's where I'll start there. You can also expect sometimes sprinkled in with the rest of that some videos related to comic books and graphic novels here and there, just to make that fun, and sprinkle in some of that. Anyway, I appreciate your time. I thank you for sticking with me through this, and I look forward to where we go from here. Thank you very much.